Good evening and welcome to this edition of Nightly News on Wjay. It's episode number 7 on this Thursday evening, September 19th, 2024. Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday. Getting close to the weekend. Let's put the ticker up there. There we go. And we have a lot of great articles for you tonight. Of course, I am your host, Jason DeCanio, welcoming you to this Thursday edition. The 3 articles we're going to be looking at tonight on this Thursday episode will be, first up, here's why you should delete your old online accounts. Yeah, if you have any online accounts like YouTube channels that you don't use no more, you don't have access to them because you changed email addresses or something of that sort, get rid of them if you can, because somewhere along the line, somebody could hack into those old unused accounts and then, of course, wreak havoc on it and take over your channel, provided unless it was one of those real popular ones or not so popular ones, and turn it into something and delete all your material and you'll never see your channel again. So you should always try to delete your old online accounts as much as you possibly can. And then avoid answering calls from these area codes. Scam phone numbers guide. Yes, we'll delve deep into the particular type of area codes you should avoid. And of course, you should avoid all spam calls at all costs because they're just a nuisance. And eventually, if you do answer one of these, it's 90% of the time it's a scammer looking to get personal information. And these are all tech ones tonight, you know. And if someone asks you to do me a favor over email, don't respond. Yeah, we'll be looking at that very interesting topic later on in the program. Also today, what is the holiday? The motivation of the day, plus headlines and other important information. And don't forget, we had a great, we have a good one for Versus tonight. I'm not going to tell you what the topics are. You'll just have to tune in. So 9 o'clock tonight on StreamYard, VS will come to you with episode number 4. Should be a good one. And then we had a great show last night on Wipe Those Tears every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. The second show of the new season was a blast. Andrew Hawking did a fantastic job, and now he's officially part of the Tier Master lineup, and you'll be seeing more of him as the weeks progress in our second season. So thank you, Andrew, for just making this transition to this venue, to this show, as smooth as possible, and you're doing a fantastic job with grading on the game. So we thank you very much. So enjoy those 2 shows in there. Of course, we have Retro Toys and Games that is up there. I just put up episode number 22 from back in the day with the game of Risk. Those were season 2 shows. Now, kind of getting in there. Don't forget also the Queens New Yorker, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. But I think it's just going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays from here on out. So, but I might even upload a little bit more than that, whatever the case may be. Either way, we're in the series of Long Island right now in our 10th season. And the Legacy of Queens every Sunday night. And, of course, Saturdays with McVay and Wjay. So, lots of great shows to choose from. And if you have a show that you would like to put on the Jay's All TV and Sports channel, let us know and we'll find a spot for you. Okay? But right now, let's go to the headlines and other important information. Of course, all of our headlines come from NPR at npr.com. Remember, this is a one-sided website, so the articles, the headlines may not be as accurate, so please do your own research when it comes to these particular headlines of September 19th, 2024. A woman sustains leg burns after straying from Yellowstone Trail. The 60-year-old woman, who has not been named, was near the Old Faithful geyser at the Wyoming National Park this week when she stepped through a thin crust over scalding water, park officials said. Uncommitted Movement doesn't endorse Harris, but asks supporters to vote against Trump. The Uncommitted National Movement announces it will not endorse Vice President Harris, but does not want supporters to vote for former President Donald Trump, and it discourages third-party votes. An ex-CIA officer gets 30 years for drugging, filming, and assaulting dozens of women. Brian Raymond admitted to drugging, filming, and assaulting the women, most of whom didn't know until investigators showed them footage. Several shared their experiences in court as he looked on. New research points to raccoon dogs in Wuhan market as pandemic trigger. It's controversial. With genetic samples from the infamous Wuhan market, a new study makes the case that raccoon dogs are likely the animal that infected humans. Proponents of the lab leak theory are dubious. Why Teamsters won't endorse a candidate for 2024 and how to avoid the credit card debt. As you know, the Teamsters, they're not endorsing a presidential candidate this cycle, breaking away from what other labor unions are doing, and tips on how to avoid your credit card debt. Ukraine keeps up the fight against HIV while fighting a war. Yep, progress in preventing infections was being made in the country with Europe's second highest number of HIV cases. Then came the Russian invasion. Bomb threats followed Trump's false claims about Springfield. Some Haitians may leave. A Haitian community leader in Springfield, Ohio, tells Morning Edition that some newcomers are pondering leaving after a string of bomb threats made to the city after former President Trump debunked claims about new migrants during presidential debate with VP Harris. A viral 9-month world cruise saw plenty of drama, but not the kind you'd expect. The ultimate world cruise consumed social media, with many comparing it to a reality show. But what was it really like? Passengers spoke with NPR 9 months and 60-plus countries later. Truth Social reaches a tricky milestone. Will Donald Trump cash out his stake? Trump can now start selling his majority stake in the Truth Social parent company as a lockup on insider sales expires, but that could tank the price of the stock. Two close calls have the Secret Service facing criticism and an uncertain future. The Secret Service is again facing criticism following a second attempt on former President Donald Trump's life. The watchdog finds black girls face more frequent, severe discipline in school. While the Government Accountability Office found that black girls receive nearly half of the most severe punishments like expulsion, even though they represent only 15% of girls in public schools. 10 undecided voters explained why they haven't picked a side in this election. With the presidential election between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump as close as it is, the small percentage of undecided voters could have a big impact on the outcome. And can I just wash the stinky bits? And other honest questions about bathing. Washing your body seems like a no-brainer, but once you get into the details, things get complicated. Dermatologists offer surprising advice on how often to shower, when to toss your loofah, and more. Sickle cell gene therapies roll out slowly. It's been almost a year since the Food and Drug Administration approved the first genetic treatments for sickle cell disease. So far, only a few patients have received the long-awaited treatments. In a major shift, the U.S. government explores giving renters cash, not vouchers. Federal housing vouchers are the largest rental aid program, but many landlords reject them. Experiments will test whether cash helps more people sign a lease. And concerns about non-citizen voting drive sweeping new restrictions in New Hampshire. A new law in New Hampshire will require anyone registering to vote for the first time in the granite state to provide documentation they are U.S. citizens, like a birth certificate or a passport. Venezuela's opposition leader says he was forced to sign a letter that admits defeat. Venezuela's former opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez on Wednesday said he was concerned into signing a letter effectively recognizing his defeat in July's presidential election. Portugal declares a state of calamity as wildfires rage out of control. More than 100 wildfires stretched thousands of firefighters to the limit in northern Portugal on Wednesday, with 7 deaths as fires spread out of control over the weekend. Sterling Harjo didn't see himself in the TV shows he watched, so he made one. When Sterling Harjo was growing up, he didn't see many Native Americans in mainstream media, but Sterling's TV show Reservation Dogs changed that, depicting the lives of 4 Native teenagers growing up in Oklahoma. Sterling talked to Rachel about how he thinks fate has guided his life and why people should go to more funerals and how hunting feels like praying. And inside the Brooklyn jail where Sean Combs is locked up, violence, squalor, and death. As they fought to keep Sean Diddy Combs out of jail, After his sex trafficking arrest, the music mogul's lawyers highlighted a litany of horrors at the Brooklyn federal lockup where he was headed. Forget tedious paper applications. Americans can now renew passports online. The State Department announced Wednesday that its online renewal system is now fully operational after testing in pilot programs and available to adult passport holders whose passport had expired within the past 5 years or will expire in the coming year. Vance says Haitian migrants with protected status are illegal aliens to be deported. The Republican vice presidential nominee continues to rail against Haitian migrants living in Ohio, though many have temporary protected status as the GOP escalates its hardline immigration stance. And those are the headlines for today, Thursday, September 19th, 2024. All right. Well, it's been a lot of interesting headlines, as they say. Not much to report on with the information I've been given here. I must say, they have a lot going on right now. And I knew this was going to happen. And I knew Trump was going to blow it out when he said it. And I knew I knew it was the truth. So for all you people who think, and I've said this numerous times, probably over the past 10 months, if you were given a contract by your enemy to shut up, lest you know you was getting money under the table, and the only way you broke that breach of contract was to start shooting your mouth off and start, unless, of course, you kept your mouth shut and then, bada boom, you get the money. Well, we all know now that the Iranians hacked into Trump's campaign, stole some papers, sent them off to the Democrats. We all know that Joe Biden is a backstabber, not only to President Trump, but to the American people, as I knew it and I said it, he was getting money under the table. He's working for the Iranians, the very enemy that has started this entire World War III. Yes, and there will be World War III if Israel can, continue to defend itself. It will escalate itself more if Israel does not silence Iran, and I think they need to do that as soon as possible. However, we don't need our president going there and sticking his nose, and Anthony Blinken and all these other left-wing Democrats who don't care about Americans, Jewish people, that matter, and just want to continue to see war and violence and everything else. I think Israel just needs to go about, fight their war, win it, and then when it's over and said and done with, they'll have victory. Because the more they go and report to the U.S. that we need weapons, we need weapons, we need weapons, we need help, they're not going to give it to them. They don't want Israel to win this war, which is basically because they're the only democracy other than the United States to have that kind of government. And if Israel loses democracy, it's game over for capitalism, democracy, and the likes of, folks. Because then the world is going to be nothing but a communist dictatorship with socialism, Marxism, and everything else that will literally bankrupt each country, and only the elite will have that power, basically, because they don't really care about you and me. They don't care about anything except money and power. So, as I've mentioned before, and I've said this, if you voted for Joe Biden, you basically voted for an unpatriotic, un-American, disgusting piece of shit. And Kamala Harris is right there beside him. Same with Governor Walz and everybody else in the Democratic Party. You basically are the most un-American people I've ever met in my life. And I haven't met you personally, but I get the feeling that you just don't care about American politics. You don't care about the flag. You don't care about anything that basically shows a positive side to our country and why we are so great of all these years, all these decades, all these centuries. you want to destroy this country. And it looks like if the so-called Democratic Americans give it to you, what is it going to take for you Democratic Americans who are trying to say that Kamala Harris is going to be the future of the world? Bullshit, man. Bullshit. Okay? Think about it. All she's done is pretty much bash Donald Trump for the 4 years that he's done great for this country. All she's done is put him in a box and basically shaked him around like dice and said, here's what he is a threat to in every which way, shape, or form. She's basically brainwashed you, the American idiots out there that would vote for her. Okay? So you go cast that vote on November 5th for that bitch. Okay? You do that. And you see how good it might be. Might sound good on paper, but I'll tell you what, when you have to continuously pay at the grocery store, high gas prices, high everything, inflation up the wazoo, and you don't have the money, basically, you're out of luck. You'll be homeless. You'll be basically begging on the streets for anything and everything, and relying on the government. And the government's going to tell you when to eat, when to sleep, when to take a shit, when to have sex, when to procreate, where to live, how to dress, and so on and so forth. If that's what you want, you go vote for VP Harris. You go and that loony bird. Okay, you go and do that, because look, my job is not to try to convince you that Donald Trump is a saint. He is. Okay, all right. My job is to basically tell you that if you want communism, you want socialism, you want Marxism, you want every other ism in the book except capitalism and peace and prosperity and basically the jobs that the illegals are taking over. Yes, that's another thing too, folks. You are losing jobs to the illegal immigrants coming in here and stealing them from you. Plus also the fact too that you don't want to work, you lazy bums. The Gen Z group, and I'm directing that to you basically, the Gen Z group don't want to work. Oh, I don't want to put my 8 hours in. Oh, I don't want to get up in the morning and take responsibility for my life. And yet, it was basically you were spoiled because your parents gave you everything. I mean, they should have taught you the basics of life, but you threw it right back in their face. You spat in their face and say, screw you, I'm going to do it on my own. And I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. Well, apparently, if you vote for VP Harris, she's going to tell you everything to do. And if you don't do it, you're going to go to jail. You're going to sit there and rot until you come out and give up. Pretty much. Your guns will be taken away from you. Your freedom will be pretty much be gone. You won't have anything. And you'll be pretty much watched 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even in the bathrooms, my friend. When you go to take a crap, you'll be looked at to see if you got anything suspicious about yourself. And if the Democrats don't like anything about you, they're going to force you to be like them. And you can resist all you want, but I'll tell you what, you'll be thrown in jail for it. They won't even have a court system. There won't even be a trial. You won't even be able to say anything or do anything to defend yourself, because at that point in time, it's game over. It's game over. And you will have nothing but a disastrous life ahead of you. And you can pray all you want to God and ask Jesus for forgiveness and all this other stuff. And if your faith is strong, great. Maybe death would be the best thing if that was the case, if we were in this world and it was going to go that way. What we need right now is Christ in our lives. But I'm not even going to go on there, because then, you're making this a religious thing about politics. Well, however you want to call it, I basically know where I'm going. Do you know where you're going? Do you know what you want in life? Well, you got to go out there and get it. You got to fight for it. All right? You don't have to demand it. You don't have to be violent about it. You don't have to use force. But if somebody decides to want to rob you based on the fact that you looked at them the wrong way, well, then you better be ready to protect your nuts, because at that point, you're going to have no nuts and you're going to have no life. And you'll be having less money too, because that's it. Everybody's going to rob you, rape you, kill you, and move on as if nothing happened. and the world will be a pretty lonely place. So these are the things that could happen if you vote in for Vice President Harris. I don't know how else to explain it to you, but Donald Trump is not a threat to democracy, yet his life has been attempted twice, folks, twice. And you sit there and you continue to throw crap in his face like Jesus on the cross. Okay? That's how you treat Donald Trump. You treat Donald Trump like Jesus on the cross that you crucified. Yes, we all are to blame for Jesus Christ's death on the cross. Whether you're an atheist, a Christian, a Catholic, Jewish, Buddhist, whatever the case, all religions are responsible. All religions are guilty of it. Okay? And that's why we have the power of forgiveness. But Donald Trump is like the second coming, man. It's like if you vote him in, we have a chance to really become a great country again. But I see some of the things, and I go around my neighborhoods and I say to myself, somewhere along the line, somebody just doesn't want peace. Somebody doesn't want prosperity, but they want violence and chaos and disorder, high gas prices, high prices on foods, inflation, everything bad in this country. Why do you want it so bad? Why? Because it's not going your way? Life is never fair anyway. And even if we had all the good things in life, you'd still complain that it wasn't going your way. So no matter who you vote for, if you're the kind of person that complains no matter what, hey, but I know that some of my young friends out there who support me as far as with my radios, and my podcasts and everything, I worry about you because you had to take this next level and deal with it. And I hope you realize that Donald Trump is not the enemy here. Okay. Oh, yes, he is, Jason. You just don't want to accept the fact that he's the enemy. Dude, he's the one that didn't cause these two wars, you scumbag. Okay. Donald Trump took care of the American people during the pandemic, kept us inside when we needed to, but opened up the states and gave the governors full permission if and when to open back up again. And only the governors of the red states opened up before the blue states even decided to even budge. Tell you, civil war is going to happen because if Vice President Harris gets in, it's civil war. It's game on. And there's going to be a hell of a price to pay out there. Are you willing to die for your country is the question. I don't know. But whatever the case may be in this situation, there's 45 days left to this election. Every election is important. Every vote is important. Go out there and vote. And even if you don't like Donald Trump, please do not give the vote to Harris. Leave it blank. Leave it blank and vote for at least your local elections if you don't like either candidate. And I know there's some people out there that don't like either candidate because really, but then again, and to the undecided people, the independents who still can't decide which way they want to go on November 5th. Here's my piece of advice for you. Think of this as good versus evil. Okay. 4 years ago or 8 years ago, basically in 2016, you had goodness. You had prosperity. You had low gas prices. You were able to afford food. You didn't put yourself into debt. Okay. You were able to support your family and go on trips, put money in your pocket, pay less taxes, all of the stuff that Donald Trump gave to you, and you took it and you used it to your best advantage and you prospered. Don't you want that? But then Joe Biden comes in, takes all that away from you, and you're okay with that for some reason. I don't know why. Why would you be okay with it? Why would you say, you took my freedom away from me, I want it back? No, you can't have it back. Joe Biden and the Democrats don't want you to have freedom. They don't want you to have anything good in your life anymore. They want you to suffer. They want you to suffer like Jesus Christ suffered on that cross, nailed to the cross with people spitting in his face. That's what they do to you. They spit in your face. They make fun of you. They tell you you're no good. And you sit there and you go, oh, I don't know. No, stand up and fight, you fools. Stop giving in to them. Stop being brainwashed. You have a brain, freaking use it. God gave you everything you needed to prosper, to become a good person in life. Show people that you're good for once in your life. If you've screwed some people over in your time, if you're a narcissistic asshole, for once in your life, change your behavior and realize it all has consequences. All right? Gee whiz, man. You can change for the good of not only your country, but for the world. Actions speak louder than words, my friend. Actions do speak louder than words. Show your love. Show your respect for people. But if you don't have that, then you're not going to get, and don't expect it back. Trust me. If you cannot give respect, you will not get it back. So do yourself a favor. You owe it to yourself to know what goodness is, what honesty is, what truth is. And the lies got to stop, man. The lies have to stop. The Democrat Party needs to stop lying to the American people, because all it's going to do, even after you guys are gone from this earth, you still got to answer to the man upstairs. And I don't think anybody on the Democratic side has the balls to stand up to God himself and think they can lie their way into heaven. Ain't going to happen. 28 before the half hour. We'll be back with more of WJAY Nightly News right after this.
Cars aren't cheap, never have been. That's why I never take shortcuts with cheap oil and air filters. Give me AC filters every time. AC filters match the original specs on my cars like a nut on a bolt.
Precision AC Delco parts. They don't just fit, they match.
Keep your car running the way it was made to run.
Now get up to $780 back on AC filters and plugs. See your retailer for details.
Just because a glass and surface cleaner is blue like Windex doesn't mean it cleans glass as well as Windex, because only Windex is specially formulated with ammonia D. It leaves a beautiful streak-free shine just about anyone can appreciate. Windex, the best on glass, from S.C. Johnson Wax.
Caramello. Caramello. Oh, such a sweet imagination. From your fingers to your mouth. Chocolate and glowing caramel. Caramello.
Alex Klein is a real Geico customer, not a paid celebrity. So to help tell his story, we hired that guy who does those funny sound effects.
My car was totaled over 1,000 miles from home. So I called Geico. And in less than 10 business hours, I got a check for a new car.
Geico, real service, real savings.
Hi, Grandpa.
Hey there, Ryan.
Grandpa, you can't imagine how many different butter candies I just saw in the store.
Yes, I can't imagine that.
But you can't imagine how many of them had golden wrappers.
Well, I can't imagine that, too.
But Grandpa, can you imagine that there are people who actually buy that other stuff?
No, I cannot imagine that.
House destroyed. My 23-year marriage, says heartbroken star. Enquire within.
We've got what you want, the way that you want it.
Lisa Bonet kicks hubby out of house just 3 weeks after the birth of their new baby. He's gone for 5 days.
Enquire within.
Mary Tyler Moore's battle against skin cancer. Mr. Spock snubs Star Trek pals at his wedding. Get all this and more in this week's National Enquirer.
'Cause we've got what you want, the way that you want it. Enquire within.
Next week on the program, Andrew Hocking will join me here to talk about his new role as a tier master on Wipe Those Tears Monday. I'm not sure how long he wants to be on the program for, but we'll be delighted to have him as a guest here on the program to talk about his many adventures that he's gone through in his time. And, you know, you'll get to know more about Andrew Hocking next week on the Nightly News, episode number 8. We won't be here tomorrow because it's Friday, so we have a 3-day weekend, but we hope that you'll be back with us on Monday, as they say. But right now, we've got some articles to get into. They're all tech articles this week. And the first one, Mark Saltzman is going to talk about why you should delete your old online accounts, stats, and everything else, statistics. Yes, remember that old Hotmail account you had back in the day? The internet does, and it can put your personal information at risk. More is definitely better when it comes to certain things, job offers, binge-worthy Netflix series, chocolate. But the same cannot be said about passwords. In fact, the more logins you have, the greater the security risk. Alarmingly, the average American now has a whopping 168 passwords, according to a recent survey from password management company NordPass, and that number is up 70% compared with just 3 years ago. If you can't possibly believe you have that many passwords, let us take you on a trip down memory lane to your very first Hotmail account, the wedding site you created for that big day, and your Tumblr account for starters. Well, while you might have forgotten about these abandoned accounts, cyber criminals have not. And your forgotten online accounts may seem harmless, but they're actually a big security liability, says Wes Guyer, who's an executive director with IBM Security. And if you want to keep your information safe from hackers, it's essential to get rid of them. Ahead, we'll walk you through what to do with your old accounts and provide some important tech tips that will protect the ones you decide to keep. Each one is a potential target for hackers seeking sensitive information stored within, like your credit card or bank account numbers, says Guyer. And even if your account doesn't have sensitive data tied to it, it's still a liability, as many people reuse passwords across accounts, allowing hackers to swipe the password from one and gain access to another, like your bank account. In fact, for the second year in a row, IBM's Cost of a Data Breach report found that compromised credentials were the top way cyber criminals access your data. Each of a user's forgotten or abandoned accounts become a potential attack vector at compromising your personal information. Businesses are reeling from these cyber attacks as well, and if hackers break into one of their systems and get hold of your login information, all of your accounts could be compromised. The bottom line, even if you think you're being responsible about online safety, a company's data breach could still put you at risk. Sure, you probably remember that you had and may still have an AOL or Snapfish account, but there are also the logins you used only a handful of times, maybe even just once. Yep, every time you create an account, even for a quickie appointment or vacation booking, that account stays there forever. Here's a partial list of accounts you've probably created over the years. An email, Hotmail, Yahoo, Outlook, Gmail, etc., social media, school accounts and emails, health sites, concert or theater ticket sites, transportation, travel sites, loyalty plans, and reward cards, and online shopping sites. And if you're no longer using an account, delete it. And while there's no set time frame in which you should review your online accounts to decide if you should delete or deactivate them, try doing so at least once a year. The good news is that it's easier than you think. Just follow these steps. Look for your login credentials to various online accounts on your computer's web browser. On Chrome, click the 3 vertical dots at the top right of the screen, go to Passwords and Autofill, and then select Google Password Manager to see a list of the accounts the browser has stored for you. The process will be similar for other browsers. Now check if any of your passwords have shown up on the dark web due to a data breach. You may see a pop-up from Chrome or Microsoft Edge that tells you which passwords you should change. If you don't see a pop-up, that doesn't mean there's not a problem. To check yourself in Chrome, click the 3 vertical dots at the top right of the screen, go to Passwords and Autofill, then click Google Password Manager, and finally, Checkup. Alternatively, go to the free and safe website, Have I Been Pawned, to see if any of your passwords have been breached. And check your PC, Mac, or mobile device's operating system for login credentials to various accounts. Do a search for the word password, and you should be able to find a password manager called Keychain Access on a Mac to see a list of accounts. From here, you can delete them or change the passwords if you want to keep them. You may also see installed password manager apps such as NordPass, Dashlane, RoboForm, LastPass, 1Password, or Bitwarden here. And log on to each site to review or change your password, or officially deactivate or delete accounts you no longer use. Make sure you've backed up anything you want, such as info and photos, before you do. Here's an important note. Don't just uninstall apps from your phone or tablet. This removes the program from your device, but your information will still be on the service it's linked to, such as a site like hotels.com. You need to go through the steps above to delete your account, or it will remain on the site's server indefinitely. For your information, you'll also want to go through a similar process when deleting the apps. A good password can make it more difficult for hackers to access your accounts. Reader's Digest reached out to McAfee, a leading cybersecurity company, for some tips to create a strong password and manage them all. And if you decide to keep an account, follow the recommended best practices below for setting secure passwords and changing them at least every 90 days. We know it's more convenient to use the same password for everything or a slight variation of one password that's easy to remember, but this also makes it easier for hackers to get into all your online accounts. And these are not secure storage solutions. Instead, consider a trustworthy password manager app for all your devices, such as NordPass, Dashlane, RoboForm, LastPass, 1Password, or Bitwarden. And find one you like best and install it on multiple devices, like your phone, tablet, laptop, or desktop, so it'll synchronize between them all. Create a strong password. Yeah, that means one that is at least 12 characters long, isn't a common word or sequence of numbers, and has a combination of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. Alternatively, McAfee says a passphrase is a good idea too. Try a lyric from a song or poem, for example, "and the rocket's red glare," or make an abbreviation from the words in a sentence, changing "the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog in the backyard" to TQBFJOTLDITB, for instance. And also resist using personal information that people who know you or look at your social media can guess, such as your birthday, your kids' or pets' names, and so on. Use multi-factor authentication for your important online accounts, like online banking. Logging into an app or website with two-factor authentication doesn't just require your password, but also a one-time code sent by text or email to confirm it's really you. If offered, a secondary biometrics option to log in, which uses a part of your body to identify you, such as your fingerprint or face scan, adds another layer of protection. There you have it. Thank you, Wes Guyru. Wes Yore, who is an executive director at IBM Security. He has 25 years of experience across tech topics such as data security, online fraud, and online identity management. There you have it. And of course, Mark Zaltzman, thank you very much for the article itself. Mark is a prolific tech writer and expert with one simple goal: to break down geek speak into street speak. As a freelance journalist since 1994, Mark has written nearly 10,000 articles and 17 books, including Apple Watch for Dummies and the upcoming Apple Vision Pro for Dummies. The host of Tech Impact on Bloomberg Television, he also hosts a lot of other good stuff too. Thank you, Mark, for that great article. And when we come back, we'll have more with our second article, which will be Avoid Answering Calls from These Area Codes. Scan Phone Numbers Guide. That's what's coming up next on the Nightly News, right after this.
If I'm feeling mellow, I just want cheese and tomatoes. If I'm feeling attractive, I say put on some pepperoni, you know? If I'm feeling wild and crazy, I just tell the guy behind the counter, throw it all on. My.
Hi, you know what's so great about Friendly's? First of all, I get to eat free. Second of all, they have lots of good stuff to choose from, like crispy chicken, juicy cheeseburgers, or great hot dogs. And guess what? You even get a free ice cream treat. You don't get that anyplace else. Okay, so what's the catch? Well, you have to bring a grown-up along. But that's okay.
Kids eat free at Friendly's every day after 4.
Say, that's a well-balanced breakfast. Want to make it taste extra delicious?
Yeah!
Well, everything tastes yummy with Golden Blossom honey. Everything tastes yummy with Golden Blossom honey.
Yeah!
Cereal, toast, and pancakes, honey makes them yummy. Muffins, waffles, pastry too. Breakfast goes with honey. Everything tastes yummy with Golden Blossom honey.
Gee, you really know your honey.
Love that Golden Blossom.
You've driven these streets 1,000 times. But tonight, there's something different. Tonight, you're using Exxon 93 Supreme gasoline for a cleaner engine, smooth acceleration, and a full 93 octane.
Let the tiger set you free.
Rely on Exxon Supreme.
It's hot outside. As the temperature goes up, Newmark & Lewis will cool you down. It's the Newmark & Lewis air conditioner sale going on now. We've got air conditioners of all sizes for small rooms and large rooms. Air conditioners in stock so you can cool off tonight. The Newmark & Lewis air conditioner sale means you don't have to sweat it out. Keep cool and comfortable with a new air conditioner. At Newmark & Lewis, we want you to be comfortable with our price, comfortable with our service, comfortable with our selection.
If Lewis is watching.
Newmark & Lewis air conditioner sale. Hurry in.
Is this the reaction you get when you serve your kids vegetables? So how do you get them to eat their vegetables? Just add Cheese Whiz. Cheese Whiz. It's got the unique cheesy taste kids love, no matter what it's on. Cheese Whiz tastes great on anything and everything. Cheese Whiz. It makes food taste better to kids.
And now there's a new way for kids to enjoy the great taste of Cheese Whiz. New Cheese Whiz Squeezable Cheese Sauce.
All right, welcome back to the Nightly News here. It's episode 7. We're ready for another great article, ready to go. And our Tech Talk tonight on Tech Talk Thursday would be really interesting. Well, we got Brooke Nelson Alexander, who's going to take us into the next article. This one is called Avoiding Answering Calls from These Area Codes, Scam Phone Numbers Guide. Yes, this is back in August 5th of 2000 of this year. So let's take a look at it. Scam phone numbers are used every day to trick unsuspecting people into giving away their private information. The good news is you can identify certain area codes that could be tied back to a phone scam. Phone scammers are getting smarter with their tactics like AI voice scams, and if you're not careful, they could make big bucks off of you. The unsuspecting caller, that is. Aside from hanging up if you hear this 4-word phrase, there's something else you can do to avoid becoming a victim and to keep up with your smartphone security and privacy. Certain area codes can warn potential targets that the call isn't safe, according to Joseph Steinberg, who's CEO of Secure My Social. And although scam callers once used a 900 number, they've changed their methods as the general public became aware of their tactic. Now, many scam phone numbers have different area codes, including 809, which originates in the Caribbean. Another area code to look out for, many look like it's coming from the United States, but isn't. Criminals have been known to use caller IDs with the area code 473, which appears to be domestic, but is actually the area code from the island of Grenada, Steinberg says. And watch out for these phone call scams that could steal your money too. And by the way, those calls add up fast. You could be charged for taking a call from any of these foreign countries, according to AARP. Plus, scammers can swindle you out of your money through phony vacation scams and fake stories about danger or money problems. iPhone scams and Uber scams are also on the rise, making Apple fans and Uber users alike more wary. Make sure you know how to avoid Uber scams and how to stop spam texts on your phone. To play it safe, Steinberg recommends never answering or returning a call from a number you don't recognize. If you actually know the person, they can always leave a voicemail. And even then, that's kind of like asking them to do more than what they're required to do. And remember that it's unlikely that someone you do not know, who is in distress at a location with which you are not familiar, would dial a random number in another country and ask you to help them, he says. They would call the police. It can't hurt to be wary of possible scam phone numbers with the following international area codes. And watch out for these Facebook marketplace scams before you go shopping. So here are the scam phone numbers, the international area codes with a +1 country code. 232 Sierra Leone, the Bahamas, Barbados, Antigua, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Bermuda, Grenada, Curacao, and Petite Martinique, Turks and Caicos, Montserrat, Saint Martin, St. Lucia, Dominica, St. Vincent and Grenadines, the Dominican Republic, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Jamaica. It's important to note that scammers can create scam phone numbers by spoofing numbers from many area codes, not just the ones listed above. Remember, a good rule of thumb is if you don't recognize the phone number, don't pick up your phone and let it go to voicemail. This can help you avoid falling for common phone scams, such as those pesky car extended warranty calls. And by the way, if you're charged for picking up a scam call, the FCC recommends contacting your phone company to try and take care of the matter. You can also file a complaint about the scam call with the FCC. Next, read up about these online scams you need to be aware of and how to avoid them. Also, read up on what doxing is and how it sets you up to be hacked, which we talked about I think a couple days ago. Brooke Nelson Alexander, she's a 2-time Emmy-nominated tech and consumer products reporter with nearly 10 years of experience covering the latest in digital trends, product reviews, cybersecurity, and privacy, along with other news and features. Her work has been published by the U.S. News and World Report and recognized by the Columbia Scholastic Press Association. Thank you, Brooke, for that great article. 2 down, 1 to go. And when we come back, we'll be looking with this one. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor over email. Don't respond. We'll look at that, the holiday, and the motivation of the day. Wrap it up early and take that great 3-day weekend we're all looking for. We'll be back with more of the nightly news right after this.
A smart mechanic and a computer add up to good car service every time.
When it comes to the tires I drive on, I'm not about to pinch pennies. I want the best I can get. Goodyear.
They don't waste my time. They don't waste my money. That's just plain good business.
You gotta be good to be Goodyear.
Goodyear tires and auto service for more good years in your car. We're Goodyear!
Hey, you're a guy, and guys want to be cool. Hang out with other guys who are cool. But even cool guys sweat. 40% more than women, in fact. So how you gonna stay cool? With something new, Speed Stick Gel. No other gel keeps you drier, so you always feel your coolest. It's unbeatable gel protection, and guys, no matter how cool they are, need all the protection they can get. New Speed Stick Gel. It's just for the guys.
What's got apples, raisins, the taste of peaches and strawberries, maple and brown sugar, instant Quaker oatmeal.
What a warm way to start the day.
Warm, creamy.
Warm. Apples.
Warm.
Raisins.
Maple and brown sugar.
I feel better when she has a warm breakfast, and Quaker's flavors make it easy.
With instant Quaker oatmeal, you can really make their morning.
Delicious.
How can I ever forget one of my special customers, little Michael? Every week he'd come in, and every time he'd say, his eyes shining.
Stork reason, please, Mrs. Lang.
One of those reasons I had to give him immediately. The others I put in a bag for him. Now there is Stork Chocolate Reason, a long-lasting, chewy chocolate caramel covered with rich chocolate, just right for Michael.
Stork Chocolate Reason, please, Mrs. Lang.
And Michael still eats the first one immediately. Stork Chocolate Reason, the everlasting chocolate chew.
When I want a lightly sweet cookie, I eat a honey-made graham from Nabisco. But when I want a crisp and crunchy cracker, I eat a honey-made graham. But when I want something wholesome with natural honey, like a cookie, that's when I eat a honey-made graham. And when I want something crackling like a cracker, I eat a honey-made graham. But you know, sometimes I want a juicy steak, so I eat a steak. And then I eat...
Honey-made grahams, a crunchy cracker, a honey of a cookie, and low-fat, too.
If you're not giving your sandwich French's mustard, it may not like it.
That's not French
French's.
No way! Come on, listen to your food. French's is 100% all natural. No sugar, no artificial preservatives. Delicious. French's all natural mustard. Be good to your food.
Well, we all write emails as much as we can. We all look at our emails on a regular basis as well, too. We get a lot of spam junk in our folders. I know I do every day as well, too, so I have to keep deleting stuff. Madison Zoe Vetterino is going to tell us about if someone asks you to do me a favor over email, don't respond. Yeah, this is a good one, folks. One I think we need to really look at. So here's everything you need to know to avoid falling for the "can you do me a favor" scam. Well, be the first to admit that online scams can easily be mistaken for something real, and that's why it's essential to know all the main ones circulating so you can identify them if they cross your path. For example, one of the top occurring online scams is the "can you do me a favor" scam. Here's everything you need to know to protect yourself from this hoax. The scam works like this. You might receive an email from someone you think you know mentioning how busy they are and that they need to buy a gift card. Here's where it gets tricky. They'll typically say the gift card is for a feel-good cause, such as a charity. From there, the hacker will request that you purchase the gift card, send a picture of both sides, and they'll reimburse you later. But as you might have guessed, no feel-good organization benefits from your purchase. The scam works because hackers attempt to make it seem like they're someone you know. They might do that by signing the email with your name or using a similar address to that of your friends, coworkers, or loved ones. And unlike other online hoaxes, the "do me a favor" scam involves gift cards. Scammers often use gift cards as they are tricky to trace, and hackers attempting to take your money can instantly download the funds. And while people might be wary of sharing their bank account information, many wouldn't think twice about sending a gift card, which is why this scam is worrisome. So how can I keep from this happening to me? Online scams are scary, but there are several steps you can take to ensure you do not get caught in the "do me a favor" scam trap. Here are 4 ways to ensure this does not happen to you. First, the most foolproof way to avoid falling into the "do me a favor" scam is simply by reaching out directly to the person who supposedly sent it. Usually the scammers want you to believe it's someone you know who needs the money, so they might pose as your friend, relative, or coworker. And therefore, the best way to avoid online scams is by contacting the supposed sender via phone or text message and checking in. Another way to ensure you do not fall victim to the "can you do me a favor" scam is by considering the email's tone for context. Is the sender rushing you or making it sound urgent? Now, if so, you'll want to double check to ensure it's the real deal. You might also see phrases such as "I need it now." Yeah. And another way to catch a scammer is by checking the email address's validity. Sometimes it will be just 1 or 2 numbers or letters off from the email address of someone you know, so give the address a thorough inspection. You know what they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So with that in mind, be careful to who you give your email address. Your email address is valuable information and you want it to stay in the right hands. Now that you're armed with this knowledge about the "do me a favor" scam, you're better prepared if you come up against it. Keep in mind, of course, that email is just one place you can encounter scams. You should also watch out for phone scams, Instagram scams, and even Facebook scams. And there you have it, Madison Zoe Vetterino. Just one of those great authors who gives us a good one there. 54 before the hour, and we'll be back with the motivation of the day and what holidays are today as well, with more of not DMS, but more of the nightly news from WJAY when we come back right after this.
Meet Max Backtalk. Enter any sound you want. Then match it to your flashing light. Take it to the max. Very good. Again.
Billy, sexy.
Nerd!
Sexy.
Nerd!
Billy, sexy.
Take it to the max. New Max Backtalk from Milton Bradley.
You can help your hamburger, you can make it a delight.
Just smile and say cheeseburger macaroni tonight. Say cheese.
Hamburger helper.
Say cheese.
Help your hamburger. Hamburger helper, help your hamburger helper. Make a great meal
Hamburger Helper Cheeseburger Macaroni turns your plain hamburger into a savory, tangy cheddar cheese and macaroni supper your family will smile about.
Hamburger helper, helper, hamburger helper.
Say cheese.
Make a great meal.
On Amtrak's Metroliner service, you can spread out over breakfast. The air shuttle encourages closer working relationships. On Metroliner service, you can have a private conversation. The plane, however, offers conference calls. On Amtrak's Metroliner service, you can travel first class. On the air shuttle, everyone gets treated equally.
All aboard, Amtrak, all aboard.
Thingamabob, gobbledygook. What's its face? Whatchamacallit. Whatever it is, whatever it was. Chocolatey chocolate. Whatchamacallit. How's it go? Wowzum do. Chugly caramel. Whatchamacallit. Doohickeys. You know what I mean. Peanutty crispies. Chewy, chocolatey, crunchy. Doodad. Let's get a Marie. More than a mouthful. It's whatchamacallit. Whatchamacallit.
The thick, rich taste you love. But sometimes, some days, you're in the mood for something a little bit tangy, a little bit kicky, a little bit spicy. Yeah, Heinz 57 sauce. It's like ketchup with a kick.
I never knew your cat was so cuddly. Right? She really loves these delectable squeeze-up treats. What? Delectables. The lickable treat.
Delickables?
Delectables.
Delickable delectables.
Funny. No, just delectables.
Deliciously delicable delectables.
You're hilarious.
You see what I did there?
Wow, she's going to town on this.
Delectables, squeeze up.
Deliciously delectable delectables.
What holiday is it today? Well, we've got a good one for you. I think you might be impressed with it. Yesterday was National Cheeseburger Day, so I think a lot of the restaurants were giving cheeseburgers away. I even know McDonald's was giving away 50-cent burgers, but you had to have the app for it. Not with this one. I don't think you need an app for National Butterscotch Pudding Day, which is today. Yes, a good source of deliciousness every time you look at it, right? Well, it's celebrated each year on September 19th, and although there are tons of puddings out there, butterscotch pudding remains one of the most loved. This milk-based dessert is prepared with starch, brown sugar, and butter, is left to cool and set before consumption, and butterscotch could also have several other ingredients, including corn syrup, lemon, salt, vanilla, and cream. Created as far back as 1817, members of England's royal family ate butterscotch candy as a dessert, and many believe that confectionery was invented by a man from Yorkshire, Doncaster, Samuel Parkinson. The records indicate that a recipe for butterscotch candy was included in a newspaper issue in 1848. And although several theories lay claim to the creation of butterscotch, its origin remains elusive. One such theory claims that the name Scotch was used to denote the cutting or scoring of the candy into pieces before it hardens. Others believe that Scotch is a derivative of scorched and refers to the heating of sugar at high temperatures. There's also the possibility of the confection being a product of the far north of Scotland, because the name butterscotch cannot be dismissed either. There's another reason for the uncertainty behind the origin of this delicious confectionery. The butterscotch pudding itself is just as much of a mystery as the confectionery that gives it its name. The origins of the custardy dessert continue to divide opinion, and the creamy treat could very well have been created in the United States using the flavor created by the British. The first recipe for butterscotch pudding would include milk, butter, eggs, and brown sugar, giving it the delicious taste it's well known for. And today, we celebrate this deliciousness that is this tasty dessert. Join food lovers across the nation in celebrating this household name. And if you have never tasted it, this is the ideal opportunity to start your love story. Find out for yourself why people love this sweet treat. Here's the timeline. Goes 1848 to 1850 to 1855. And 100 years later, almost 1951, it becomes a household name. Whoa. What a history of the timeline. Stuck in the 1800s, finally gets recognized in the 1950s, and here we are today. So, what are we going to do? Well, you're going to celebrate Butterscotch Pudding Day by buying one from a local store and making one at home. Share with friends and family for a more enjoyable experience. Don't know how to make butterscotch pudding? Why not take lessons from someone who does, or look up the steps online? And if you're a pro at making this dessert, then teach someone who would like to learn. And try searching for a new recipe online, or get creative and create one yourself. Let your imagination run wild. It's five facts about butterscotch pudding that will blow your mind. Butterscotch is also used to refer to the flavor of a butter and brown sugar mix, even if the real butterscotch confection isn't included. Norway holds the record for the largest butterscotch candy ever made. It measured a staggering 5 feet and weighed over 3,500 pounds. And although caramel is similar to butterscotch, they are made with different sugars. White sugar for caramel, brown sugar for butterscotch. And pudding was the main course in England's Royal Navy between the 1700s and the 1900s. And pudding is a derivative of poudin or boudin, which is the French word for black pudding. Why we love this holiday? Well, everyone deserves a treat from time to time. A national holiday that offers an excuse to enjoy a sweet treat is just aces in our book. And you can add lots of fun ingredients to your pudding for a unique taste: salt, lemon, or even corn syrup. It's up to you. We love that you can get a little naughty and add a splash of rum or bourbon to your dessert. Pudding shots make the tastiest cocktails. Next time, it'll be on a Friday, September 19th, 2025. That'll be the next time that National Butterscotch Pudding has its dates. And here are some other interesting things you may want to look at, which have already passed, like National Vanilla Pudding Day, British Yorkshire, and National Chocolate Pudding Day, which was on June 26th. Okay. Let's now get to the final thing here, which is the motivator of the day. I'll go to the Daily Motivator, pull that up. And we're going to end about a half an hour early today. So let's see what we have from the man who gives us positive affirmations every time. Today, on Thursday, September 19th, the title of this motivator is Where Achievement Happens. How do you accomplish what must be done? Start by getting yourself precisely in the place where you can do it. To get in shape, go to the gym. To write your novel, sit yourself down at the keyboard. You can't paint a masterpiece while floating in the pool, and you won't get your garage cleaned out while watching television. Demonstrate to yourself how committed you are by going where you can get it done. Go there literally, physically. Then once you're in place, go there energetically with your focused actions. It might be fun to wish, to imagine, to plan and prepare. And yet when you're ready to achieve, you must be present, physically, mentally, spiritually, where achievement can happen. When you're present and taking action, then you're serious. And then you're increasingly effective. Go there, put forth effort, and start creating the valuable results you desire. Thank you, Ralph Marston. Another great daily motivator in the books. Episode 7 is done. We thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And remember, always to be honest and be real. Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. Versus is coming up at 9 o'clock, about an hour from now. 2 great contrasting topics with a fantastic history. We'll give you those 2 great historical topics. You decide which one you like better at the end of the voting. From all of us here at Jay's All TV and Sports Channel and the Nightly News, good night, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye for now.